हो ध्याड़ी राती सुपने हो लगी नजर आंदी हो संग नीलाना दाउड़ा जुड़िए मत छड़िया तू मत छड़िया
It is the summer of 2009 and I am on the way to Malana, a tiny village in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. I have visited Malana many times since I first went there in 2004. This time I have a camera and I want to document my visit to this mythic village. To get to Malana, you need to drive up Parvati Valley from Buntar, which is the closest town. Buntar is just before Kullu town in the Kullu Valley. The drive up Parvati Valley takes me past Jari, a small village at the intersection point of Parvati Valley and Malana Valley. In the 80s, Jari was the starting point for the trek to Malana. The trek to Malana used to take a full day from Jari, but since the road has been built, accessing Malana has been made much easier. My friends run this guest house in Chowki, which is the village just across the river from Jari. This is Chappuram Negi, the director of Negi's Himalayan Adventure, and he's going to help me shoot my documentary. On Parvati and Malana rivers, hydroelectric power projects have been constructed. The work began in 1999 and it has had a huge impact on the development of this region of Himachal. I leave Chowki headed for Nirang, the starting point for the trek to Malana. The road I am travelling on has been constructed to provide access to the power projects. When I first came back in 2004, this dam used to be the starting point for the trek to Malana as the road to Nirang was still being planned. I have seen developments take place in the valley very rapidly. In 2004, there was no road past the dam and no buildings or construction around this area. All that has drastically changed. Three years before, there was no road here. This was being made at that time. And you had to walk from the dam all the way to Malana. And it took about 3 to 4 hours. The drive up Malana Valley from Chowki to Nirang takes about 40 minutes, depending on the number of trucks that may be on the same road. The road is still under construction and it is very rocky and dangerous. However, it is this or walking from the dam. After a terrifying ride up Malana Valley, we get to Nirang. From here it's a steep ascent to the village. Malana. These Malanese women climb up and down the valley every day to attend their crops. The Malanese believe that everyone who is not from their village is an untouchable, and that they will get corrupted by touching any person who is not from Malana.
But don't touch, eh? No.
This woman had to put the wheat on the ground before I could touch it.
Okay,
We began our trek following the Malani women to Malana, but they were soon far ahead of us.
Women from Malana, they got their own culture, own rule, and own jewelry, which is specially made out of silver. And this is only the Malana women they are wearing around here. Other places they are wearing similar, but from the gold, not from the silver. But they got on the nose piercing, double, and that is from gold.
Malana has been isolated because of its distance from the outside world and because it is just so difficult to reach.
Welcome to Malana. Thank you. It's there, Malana. You see? Tired?
Hariom.
How heavy is your bag?
2 kg.
2 kg. Show me. Wow.
At last we reached the outskirts of Malana, and Chappupaya gets into a discussion with the Malani's people we were climbing with. He talks about how it is not a bad thing for the Malanis to have tourists staying in the village, as they can register the foreigners with the police station in Nirang. He encourages them to be friendly to tourists, as it will help develop the village and earn them some money. This is a water mill for flour.
ये जो है ये पानी स्टॉप करने के लिए जब इस लकड़ को खोलेंगे तो पानी सारा नीचे जाएगा पानी जो आता है इसके अंदर आता है ये जो राजे ये घूमता है अंदर
This process of milling flour has carried on unchanged in Malana for centuries. It is because Malana is so isolated that things have just recently begun to change. Even though they are symbolically cleansing themselves with the outside world, It intrigues them. They are amazed by the camera and look at us confused. After an hour-long trek up the mountainside, we finally get to Malana, and I'm exhausted. As we enter Malana, we see construction work taking place all around us. In January of 2008, a fire struck the village and burnt down half of Malana. Reconstruction efforts are taking place all around the village to rebuild what was burned down. These workers are not locals. They come from a different part of Himachal called Mandi.
क्या काम करते हैं आप? काम करते हैं इधर? मिस्त्री का काम करते हैं?
This is the village judge, and he has promised to speak with us tomorrow in the morning. By the time we reach the center of Malana, it is already too dark to shoot. The only thing that was on my mind was now to rest. And that's exactly what I did. No one can say how the fire really started, but some Malanis have an explanation. In the mountains, it is common to have a fire inside the house for heating. In the house that the fire started, children were playing with fire as their parents were not at home. The house caught fire and quickly spread uphill through the rest of the village. They did not have the water to put out the fire, so all they could do was stand and watch their village burn. The fire could not have hit Malana at a worse time. It was in January of 2008, at the peak of winter. Half of the village was made homeless at the worst time of year. Malana's ancient Jamlu temples burnt down in the fire. The temples were thousands of years old and were completely made from wood, as were most of the houses in Malana. It was because of the dry wood and strong winds that Malana caught fire with such ease. It is easy to understand how such a tragedy could occur. There is no fire service around for miles, and with such high temperatures and no water, disaster could not have been averted. All the houses with metal roofs are new and were burned down in the fire. Guest houses in Malana are houses hired by people who want to make money from the number of tourists that come each year. The Malanese landlords rent out some houses for this purpose, but they are all outside the main village area. It costs around 200 rupees to rent a room for a night. The people who run the guest houses are friendly and resourceful, and they make your stay as comfortable as possible with their scanty supplies. As we walk down to the center of the village, we see Malanese women going about their daily chores. This is a good example of what all the houses in Malana were like. Now only half the village is made up of these ancient houses. There are people building all over the village, and all the supplies that they use have to be carried from the road. This is the center of the village, where all religious festivals take place. The Devta or god of Malana is called Jamlu or Jamdagani Rishi.